What's going on, everybody? In this video, I'm going to show you how to do sideways pull-ups, or headbangers, or shakers, whatever you want to call them. They look like this. Let's get into it. All right, so whatever reason you want to do sideways pull-ups, shakers, headbangers, the only reason I call them shakers is because my buddies and I came up with an idea, which was we were really good at regular pull-ups, so we wanted to see if we could do sideways pull-ups. And whenever we started doing sideways pull-ups, it shook the whole power rack that we were using to do our pull-ups on. And so that's why we call them shakers. But in the calisthenics world, they are called headbangers, but it doesn't really matter what you want to call them. It's just about mastering the technique, and we're going to get into that. All right, so the first thing you want to do is something I call the approach, and that's just walking up to the bar with intent to start the exercise. So a pull-up, you normally start underneath the bar, and you just do pull-ups like this. With shakers, I found the easiest way to get into a shaker is you're going to have to walk forward and add a little bit of momentum to be explosive and get yourself in a position to start it. So the approach is just walking up to the bar and lifting yourself up. So you can practice that. So just walk right up to it. As soon as you get underneath it, lift up. And what's going to happen is your body is going to move forward underneath you as you pull up, and that's the momentum you're creating from the approach. All right, so once you've done the approach properly, the next exercise you want to master is the L-sit isometric or isolated hold. So the position you're going to want to hold the entire time is getting your forehead up to the bar and then lifting your feet up. So you're in an L-sit position. You're going to hold this position right here. So make sure you can do that exercise before moving into the next step. All right, so now we're going to combine the approach and the L-sit at the same time. And we're just going to do that as one movement. So we're going to walk up to the bar and lift our legs up at the same time. So walk up the approach, lift up, and then you can hold that position or just kind of ride the momentum. Just get used to the feeling of starting the position. So here, up, L-sit, forehead to bar. That's what you want to do. You don't have to hold the L-sit. You can if you want to, because you're going to be moving while you're doing it, but you want to focus on getting those two movements down. One more time, approach, feet up, forehead to bar, and you're going to feel yourself start to almost rock backwards once you get your forehead up to the bar, because it happens naturally. All right, so now for the actual getting into the exercise. Once you've done the approach and done the L-sit, forehead to bar, you're going to want to focus on keeping your forehead parallel with that bar and then riding that momentum backwards to full extension. I know I've seen a lot of people online doing like half reps, and that's fine, but in order to do the exercise properly, you want to come to that full extension. It's very difficult because you're having to hold that L-sit contraction, but you're only in this position at the end of the rep, and then you're coming back in. Remember, forehead parallel with the bar the entire time. That's how you master this exercise. That's how you make it look really good and make it feel really good. And you want to maintain a very consistent flow throughout it. So putting it all together to show you what it looks like, we're going to have the approach, L-sit, and then push out. So you're going to, once you get your forehead up there, you're going to, you know how it happens naturally. So as I'm getting up and I'm already starting to go backwards, you're going to push yourself backwards. And once you get to that full apex, you're going to pull yourself back in. Just watch your forehead. I think that's why they call them headbangers, because you're smashing your head on the bar, or you're kind of acting like you are. Try not to hit your head on the bar. I've done it before. Doesn't feel great. But putting it all together, this is what it looks like. So here, push, and back at it. And where you should be feeling this exercise is heavily, heavily in your forearms, a really big connection between your intercostal muscles and your lat, and then a little bit of core compression and L-sit, which is why you should master the L-sit before getting into this dynamic L-sit, or what do you want to call it. Again, you can call it whatever you want. But that's how to get into it. In the approach, sometimes if I'm being really explosive, what I'll do is I'll walk up to the bar, and as I pull up, I'm going to arch my back and bring my feet behind me. So when I push myself into that L-sit. So my feet come up. I'll just show you what that looks like. So I'll come up to the bar, and I think that's more actually when I don't do the approach. That's when I'm starting under the bar, because when you do the approach, it creates that momentum. When you're standing under the bar, you're not going to have any momentum, so you have to generate some force, and that means kind of fishtail your body and push at the same time. So the static way of doing it is pull your forehead up to the bar, and then get into it. And that's pretty much it. That's the easy steps to break it down. Forearm strength is key, lat strength is key. You're gonna feel a really weird sensation as you're contracting, because a lot of people, what happens is their feet will go up and down, because it's like your feet are counterbalance. That's why it's extremely hard to keep your feet down while you're doing headbangers. And yeah, your feet are just gonna be your counterbalance. But what happens is, as we push out more, we wanna counterbalance even more, so our feet are gonna come up. It's a really heavy focus to keep your feet in the same plane as you're doing the shakers, headbangers, whatever you wanna call them. So here, one more time, we're gonna pull up, we're gonna push out. I'm gonna do a static version. So here, and I'll show you what people do. So your feet will like do some weird stuff like that. Keep them straight the entire time. I know it's hard, but that is what makes the exercise so challenging and makes it look really cool. If you guys like these videos, please like and subscribe. That's all I got for you today. How to do sideways pull-ups, headbangers, shake.